It's not been a harsh winter.
So if the Bush administration had signed up to Kyoto, there would have been snow, so they couldn't.
And Ankur would be waiting until April to do this. Yeah.
Let's move on to American politics, because in the United States it's not over, but it does look as though Barack Obama is pulling well ahead of Hillary Clinton in the race to become the Democratic nominee for the presidency. How significant a moment is this for America and for the rest of us? Yasmin, what do you think of Obama?
What I think of Obama, I think he's very fresh, he's very interesting, he's urbane. He will be, if he does become the next president of the United States, I will weep, because within minutes he will become like every other president of the United States. You know, somebody you deeply mistrust and is bad for the world. But for now, I think he's incredibly interesting and has read the changing society post-Bush much better than Hillary Clinton. I see Hillary Clinton was having a hormonal moment a minute ago on she should be careful, because this is not the time to turn nasty.
Shrillery is...
Shrillery. This is not the time, because he's now established himself as the calm merchant. You know, the one who brings promises. But so I'm taken in as the rest of us, and as I said, if he ever becomes president, I'll hate him.
Go off. He did handle Hillary's outburst, or whatever you call it, very well, by saying, well, you know, I don't know what's going on here, it must be a tactic.
Yes.
I'm above it, I'm the front runner.
Yes, he sounds very presidential, but I think this is absolutely, I mean, any American election is obviously watched very closely by everywhere, that's anywhere in the world. But this one is particularly captivating, because whether you get a woman or you get a man with a middle name that's Hussein, what you do know is that you're not going to get more of the same in the White House. That is a standard issue white American male.
Well, you might get John McCain. He's standard issue white American male. Last time I checked.
Well, you do feel that, I mean, it does seem rather likely that perhaps there will be a change of mood, and there will be just the Democrats who will, a Democratic nominee will win, the Democratic nominee will win. And so everyone's watching it very closely. But I have to say that even though in my neck of the woods in India, we are as obsessed with the unfolding campaign and the ongoing campaign as anywhere else, we are not so pleased with what the Democrats keep saying about outsourcing. And it is very interesting that ahead of the March 4 primaries in Texas and Ohio, Hillary Clinton, who till now has not joined the anti-outsourcing bandwagon with Barack Obama, she is saying as well that we've got to end tax breaks to American companies that export a single job overseas.
Which is the protectionist roots that some people have seen in...
And so we're not that pleased, actually. We want Obama because he would renew the American dream. He extends the narrative. You know, he tells a great story. It's fantastic, but we're not that pleased with
it. Say something mean about Obama. Nobody else appears to in this program.
Very difficult, you know. Looking at his campaign, if the great bard of Avon had looked upon it, he'd go back and write once again, there's a tide in the affairs of men which taken at the flood leads on to fortune. There is that element that, you know, he is on the rise, he is on the go, and he's getting somewhere. The thing about him that sort of makes me slightly wary is the fact that, unlike Mrs. Clinton's allegations, he's not all talk and no substance. There's plenty of substance. The point is it the right substance for the American people?
Oh, no, that's a good question. That is a good question.
This is the thing. And, you know, sometimes I feel, is he on the left wing of this Democratic Party, which is littered with corpses on the way to the White House, you know, the Ducases and the McGoverns and the Mondales.
Well, let me write for you the Republican campaign, if I may. This is the most left-wing senator of 2007, according to the National Journal, according to his voting records. He's the most left-wing liberal Democratic candidate since George McGovern, who lost in a landslide. America doesn't need him.
On behalf of Mitchell Feingold, I want to take exception, and a variety of others. I mean, Ted Kennedy, for example, he hasn't been in the Senate long enough to really compile the kind of record that lets you say, this guy votes to the left on everything. Left in America is a very relative term anyway. Everyone's Ronald Reagan took the center and put it, oh, that's my right, over here. You know, the thing is, the substance is, in a sense, the man himself is the substance. I think it's underestimated around the world because too much of what we've seen in the last 8 years has been this heavy-handed, inept expression of American democracy through the Bush administration. What people don't understand, unless they visit America regularly, is the deep pain in the society at its fragmentation, the fact that any kind of civility seems to have gone out of political discourse, that everything is this, it's ugly. And when people see Barack Obama, they see someone, his message, he gets criticized by Hillary Clinton, it's all message. But the fact is he seems to be someone, because of his race makeup, he is a true African American. They see someone who doesn't seem to bear a lot of grudges. They see someone who says, looking forward, because we need to look forward again. And in a sense, that's a policy, because too much of America looks back to 1968 and says, you said this, and you said that, and you said this, and you're a this, and you're a that, and we never seem to move forward. So just by saying that,
I think I have just become very aware, because I teach, I go and lecture to American students here, and lots of them come here for a semester. And what I hadn't realized until the last couple of times is how they hate being hated around the world. This has really hurt them, that Bush made it okay to hate all America and all Americans. And they were all tainted with this particularly nasty credo that Bush and his cronies brought in. And the younger generation just want it okay to be American abroad. And I think there are loads of things that Obama brings with him, which have a kind of, which could have an effect, which is much deeper than anybody imagines. It will not happen with Hillary.
As a totemic symbol of change, I think his significance would be extraordinary. And yes, you're absolutely right. The myth of the ugly American has, it's been fleshed out starting with the White House, in the last 8 years. That's absolutely true. Barack Obama suddenly makes it possible to love America again, to believe in it again. And I don't know why. I mean, I feel like a Baptist preacher myself, when I talk like that.
I wear a T-shirt with Barack Obama in the gym, and all these people come to me and say, yes, girl. I think it's not even my election.
I don't know how to follow it. But just to pick up your point, I mean, the opening chapter of The Audacity of Hope says exactly what you say, really. We've got to get past this kind of politics. We've got to, work together. We're all Americans. And so McCain has that streak in him as well, in his record. I mean, he can be grouchy, but he has shown a very independent streak. It's going to be a very interesting campaign if it's those two.
If it's those two, what's interesting is that the independent voter has supported both of them in the primaries. And it goes to show, when I say left and right really mean nothing in America, in the way that it does in other parts of the world. This is what I mean. I mean, the same person will be thinking as an independent to vote for Barack Obama, who is a true Democrat. I mean, he is, I believe, someone who would carry on the New Deal tradition going back to Franklin Roosevelt. John McCain is a genuine Arizona conservative, he's a tax cutter, and so on. And the same people would, but both.
But the biggest thing
is a complete warmonger, has been all the time. I heard him here.
And to a war-weary America.
He did the Alistair Cook
But there's
lecture
one thing going for him, Yasmin. There's one thing going for him, and that is that he has proved that you can contest a top political office without having to look like James Bond.
That is true. That is
dangerous for the world.
Well, he looks like James Bond would look if James Bond was 72.
Okay, let's move on, because we've just got a few minutes left, and I want to talk about our national obsession, which is alcohol, because ahead of next month's British budget, the Chancellor, Alistair Darling, is being lobbied to increase the tax